Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and we got an early look at the new PvP talent system in BFA. We actually were one of the first few channels to get this answer from Ian himself of how the BFA honor system is going to look like. Honor talents, that is.
Question here from Dalaran YT.
Does it say Dalaran?
Dalaran YT.
Dalaran?
Dalaran YT.
Oh my god, that is my old. Oh hell. Did I get on the episode? What did I ask? I don't even remember.
Who asked, will there be more updates to honor talents in BFA? Feels like there are a lot of dead talents that just don't get picked unless you are... I forgot this question was in here. Unless you're in some very specific situation that could only be written in fan fiction.
So they are changing it from you have a talent in every row. Like you have a trinket row, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 customizations. You can pick one ability from every single one of them, so overall you have 6 different options by the end of it. The problem with the system is in every single row there's usually one good talent, and that's really about it for majority of classes, so you don't really have a system of customization. So what Blizzard wants to do is, instead of throwing it in every single row you pick an ability, just toss them all in a bucket and you can pick 4 of any of them. Of course, trinkets should be their own tree. As far as we're to understand, trinkets are going to be their own tree from what Ian told us on the channel. So I want to take a look at the system and what it looks like. So as we can see, currently from PvP UI, there's a 1 bucket total for the spec class specific honor talents. You can select 1 talent in this bucket, level 20, 40, and 70. So they will update. At level 19, you'll have nothing. Level 20, you have the first one unlocked. 40, you have an extra one unlocked. 70, you'll have an extra unlocked, and level 100, an extra one unlocked. This top one right here has some kind of a bit extra light to it. I'm thinking this will end up being the trinket one, but if it is the trinket one, I'll talk about it in a little bit, because if this is the trinket and not an option that you can pick from, then it'll kind of break the talent system. So they have what looks like 1 at the top with an extra effect, and then 3 right here. As far as I'm to understand, you have 4 PvP talents. I'm hoping trinkets are part of it. So in a way, we're losing, instead of having 6 different options, more 5 different, because trinkets are all the same. 5 are different options you can customize your class. So can you make some kind of a build with this new system of 4 talents? So I took a look at some of the classes, and there could be some interesting options. Let's say you are a mage and you're so tired of just getting trained as an arcane mage by everything. You're going up against some kind of a caster cleave. You're not really going to get that much damage. You're not really going to end up doing a lot. You're going to end up being a CC bot just trying to survive. So how could you use, let's say, non-trinkets just out of the whole row of, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 options? Could you construct yourself in an interesting or better way? First of all, you're able to take Temple Shield for defensive, obviously. But then Dampen Magic isn't bad. Magic damage over time deals 20% less damage to you. That could be powerful. Netherwind Armory, if people are really going to train you, reduces the chance to suffer critical strike by 15%, and Prismatic Cloak could make your blinks 50% less magic damage for 2 seconds. So in a way, you could avoid a lot of magic damage as a mage, and really just be a live lord against magic damage. Conversely, in the BG, you could go for some kind of crazy all-out build. Torment over the week would be a very, very interesting option, because 15% extra damage at all times. Massive Invisibility is usually utility. Rewind Time is also a utility, and Master of Escape is also utility, so you could ignore the bottom row. Every 5 seconds, you have a 5% chance to gain 4 arcane charges. Could be an interesting option. Concentrated Power. Arcane Power lasts 5 fewer seconds, but damage bonus increased by 10%, so you could take this, Torment of the Week, and Concentrated Power, so you could use those 2 together. Together, you can add Train of Thought and Mind Quickness if you're going to be away. Or if you are going to be somebody who's going to be up and about in enemy's face, you can also perform Mind Quickness, and maybe even Burn Determination so you can't be silenced. So it could be Mind Quickness, Burn Determination, Torment the Weak, and Concentrated Power, more damage. So in a way, this gives you a lot more options. Let's take a look at some of the other classes I took a look more closely. Let's say you want to play on Holy Death Knight, and you really want to play around your training down a healer, training down a target until they're dead, just really be in a torment of death. So Necrotic Strike would be a very, very powerful option together. Then you also add Crypt Fever. Enemies healed while affected by festering wounds, which is from your Festering Strike, take damage. So you're absorbing the healing. When they try to heal themselves, they damage themselves further, make it harder to recover. Necrotic Strike, Crypt Fever, Necrotic Aura, so they take more damage, and Heartstop Aura, or better yet, Decomposing Aura. So you could literally just be a Death Knight, just a row of death, just walking at a person. You would lose your Reinforced Armor, you would lose Anti-Magic Zone, but if you want to just train healers, Necrotic Strike, Crypt Fever, the health is decreased every second, and they take 8% more damage from magical damage. Necrotic Strike and Crypt Fever being shadow damage. I mean, There's a lot more options on how you can approach situation from a defensive, offensive manner. Not every single talent is great, but there's still options when there's 4 of them. Even when it comes to rogues, you can have a lot more options. As an assassination, you can go for some crazy master poisoner build. Deadly Brew, Mind Numbing Poison, Creeping Venom, System Shock. Poisons out of the wazoo. You would lose some like unfair advantage. You would lose out maybe on Flying Daggers, but you could make some options and some alterations. Flying Daggers and Mind Numbing Poison together with your Deadly Brew, could you run in, spread dots on everybody in an RBG, spreading your Phantom Knives all over the place, spreading Deadly Brew with a Wound Poison, spreading Mind Numbing so as they get in casting spells in an RBG, they're taking damage. Makes it a lot easier to work with, and you can go for Reinforced Armor so you don't take as much damage because you're going to be up in the middle of all of them. A lot of different options, but that's if you get 4 options. Now, Blizzard did say they wanted their own role for a talent, and this looks like a talent option. This is where the whole talent system would actually not work. The problem with the talent system is every single row there's usually 1 good talent, and normally we get to pick 6 different ones. Without a trick, it's 5 different ones. Without the first 2 row, it's 4 different ones. But usually the 4 different ones are the ones that affect your gameplay enough, or even 5 different ones. You would end up basically making the choice from 5 to 3. In a way, you're giving us less choices, because if you fill this one up in the talent slot, we only get 3 options. And what can you do with 3 options? Let's go back to some of these other classes. Unholy Death Knight. Let's say you want to train a target down. Necrotic Strike, Grip Fever, Necrotic Aura. You don't really get to use that same row capability, right? Or you use Necrotic Aura, Decomposing Aura. You don't really get that customizability of Necrotic Aura, Decomposing Aura, Grip Fever, and Necrotic Strike. You don't really get the same effect when you have 3 different talents instead of 4. So if this one is a talent for trinkets, then it breaks the system, and it all of a sudden goes from an interesting look at the system to probably one of the worst design systems for PvP. I did say you could have Deadly Brew, Mind Numbing Poison, System Shock, and Creeping Venom, but do you really need both? You don't really need both System Shock and Creeping Venom if you are losing defensive or maneuverability. You kind of need mobility, but let's say you need mobility. Defensiveness is also nice too. Unfair advantage is the best in this role. Deadly Brew ends up being the best in this role because Mind Numbing Poison cannot compete with Deadly Brew. Creeping Venom and System Shock is usually one or the other, or AoE if you go on with a BG playstyle with Flying Daggers. You don't really pick more than 1 row. So normally, let's say you're stuck to each row, at least you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Blizzard would basically make it down to 3. Unless they were to flood the whole PvP system with a lot more honor talents, I don't know if a 3 honor talent playstyle or 3 honor talent options would work. Again, that is if we are to say the top row is a trinket. If it's an actual option of a talent that you want to choose and a trinket is its own thing, then you have a lot more options. Then you have a lot more talents to play around with, because there's 4 different options that get taken from the current setup for current trees. Hell, even Outlaw Rogue could work, right? You can go for Plunder, Armor, Thick as Thieves, Control as King, but you could also add Dismantle. You could also add Turn the Tables. You could also add Maneuverability if you want to, but you at least have some options, you know, to some extent. Again, that is to say, if the top one is a trinket slot. If it isn't a trinket slot, then we're good. If it is not a trinket slot, we're in a good spot. If it is a trinket slot and you only get 3 options realistically, that doesn't work as well, I don't think. So that is my first impressions on the honor talent tree. That is to say, Wowhead is looking at it first. We get 4 PvP talents. Blizzard did say they want to make PvP trinkets the own role. This is too early to tell exactly how this is going to function. But I'm telling you right now, from my perspective, if it's 3 options, it won't really impact the gameplay and actually takes a lot more abilities away. If it's 4 options, then we're talking about more builds that you can work with. More offensive, more defensive, more customizability, and more of what you want out of it to really make it customizable. And that is my first impression of it. Let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully I made a little bit of sense discussing this. So my final conclusion is, if the top row is just for the trinket in terms of your Relentless, Adaptation, or normal Gladiator's Medallion, that won't function as well, because you're realistically giving us 3 options, and there's not a lot of good talents when it comes to every single row. There's usually 1 good talent. And yeah, you can kind of customize yourself to, like, yeah, I want to be more defensive. I want to take all the best damage talents. The problem with that is you can already take the best damage talents for most classes, at least from the DPS perspective. You can also already take the best talents you need without having to pick same talents on the same row. They usually are pretty spaced out, so you can already pick an optimal build, and they're already on different rows, so that you don't have to compete. because roles aren't competitive to begin with. Most roles have already just one talent you pick. So in a way, you're basically doing a prune. You're basically giving us less options. So we're basically going to be playing the same talent, or even less, not more you played, with less customization feel that many of us would have. Actually would have no difference of customization compared to the current tree, or a better version of customization. Yeah, you could pick all the defensives. Yeah, as a, let's say, Holy Priest, you could pick Chain of Thought, Mind Quickness, and Initiation, but you're losing on pure Shadow. No normal man would want to do that. No normal man would want to lose Void Shift. No person would want to lose Void Origins. No Psychic Link. So you're basically giving us from 5 different options down to 3. And those 3 options are usually, I feel like, you're going to have limited customization. So you're not going to give us more customization, you're going to give us less, because not every single talent is good. And that's my final thought. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd love for you guys to comment on this, and if you guys enjoy these constant updates on BFA, go ahead and give it a video a like, because likes allow my videos to reach a wider audience and overall allow the channel to grow, so that would be very much appreciated. If you guys enjoyed this kind of video, let me know your thoughts. I would want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? I really hope that we get 4 options instead of 3, and the 4th option ends up being an actual option rather than just a trinket slot. That's all I'll say. Anyway, y'all, you guys are fucking beautiful. Thank you so much for coming out and watching the video. Subscribe if you want to see more updates like this for BFA. Subscribe if you want to see more 5v1 duels. And if you guys want to catch some of the streams, go ahead and hit the notification bell down below in order to be kept up with every single video that goes live and every single live stream goes live. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see all of you. Comment below. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Let's talk about this. Is this good? Is it bad? What are your thoughts? How do you think it will function? Because we don't have all the information, and I think I said everything I needed. Thank you all. Peace.